managed to sort of just reach over and put the ball down after the Highlanders had been pressurising the line. Not the same mistake the Canes made. I mean, the Canes had some opportunities before that, but couldn't get the ball down. Frizzell's having a fantastic season, isn't
he? He's a real talent, and he's grown because he got the All Blacks chance last year to shine, and he's just gone from there, and it's just been another kick in his confidence. He's played great this year.
Absolutely. TJ then nipped over for one pretty much straight away after his forwards had been bashing away at the line, and nipped over for his 50th Super Rugby tie. So a hat tip to TJ. Congratulations on that milestone.
TJ Perenara, I don't know how many words I can use to describe him. Cheeky, cunning, but brilliant. Well done, mate.
Tiati is a player we've been talking about over the last few weeks because he has been playing some wonderful rugby. And again tonight he had his moments, but he was a bit hot and cold. Had a great break, but couldn't find any support and got tackled. At other times knocked on, but made a couple of good breaks. He had some. Tiati is a guy that just keeps on showing us he's a good player, but perhaps still very immature in some of his play. Yeah,
I like watching him play because he's got that speed and that agility, and he can find his way to the try line as well. So I think, give him time and let him grow and let him play his own game and the things that he can work on. Yeah, but I think he'll turn out to be a really useful player for the Hurricanes in years to come.
He was. I think he will be definitely. If he doesn't get himself All Black recognition, actually I've got to check on what his eligibility is. The Highlanders came back, line out Maul. I thought he lost control of it, but they decided there wasn't enough evidence to overturn the try. So that gave them a 14-7 lead, and the Highlanders really took control of the game during that period, heading up towards half time. Looked like they were about to score a try. Looked like they were going to go in at like 21-7 up, but one offload too many. Artie Sevilla picks it up and runs it in from his own half. That boy is quick. Not only is he big, but he's quick.
Yeah, and certainly the genes run well in the Sevilla family, considering his big brother's a winger. But wow, for a flank forward, he's got some pace, and he was not challenged on the way to the line. He got there pretty easily.
He did, and that, I think, to me at the time I tweeted that was a very important try because basically it was a 14-point turnaround. Suddenly the Canes are going in at 14 all rather than being 14 points behind, and that's what we expected. Also, that was very important. At half time, the Canes coach who got interviewed mentioned that basically they need to cut out their errors, and they thought that would be all okay. The second half starts off equally crazy, and you're thinking, well, did anyone listen to what they said at half time?
No, definitely not. I think the game plan was to entertain the crowd tonight, and I think the crowd got its money's worth, except for the Highlanders win.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that there was only 28 points in that first half was amazing. We had 31 points in the second half and no points in the last 10 minutes when we should have had another couple of tries. But we then saw a side of the Canes we've not really seen before. A, they took 3 points when they had the opportunity to take a penalty. And B, we had Bowden Barrett trying a drop goal from inside his own half. I mean, that was just where was that all coming from?
Well, I don't like seeing drop goals from your own half. I think there have been only a very distinct few that have done so. So, Bowden, surely, you're a bit smarter than that. Don't try that. Go for the attacking run. work with your inside and outside backs.
The Highlanders forwards then just took the game by the scruff of the neck and looked like they were going to boss it all the way to the end. Got a scrum in front of the post that they dominated, that led Hamilton to going over, a line-out maul try, and suddenly it's 28-17. And I say the forwards, I mean, they were bossing the tackles, they were bossing the breakdown. They really took control of that game for that kind of 10-minute period that they scored it. That they sort of took that lead.
Oh, they did. I think that was very impressive forwards work. The Highlanders have a very, very good forward pack that just work hard all night, and you saw that a lot of their set plays involved the forwards as much as it did the backs. So a real credit, they muscled up tonight.
Absolutely, but it really was a moment of some blind play that really took the wind out of their sails. Bowden Barrett passes the ball across, and Ben Lamb breaks 4 tackles before releasing Ardy Surveyor for his second try. Ardy Surveyor still had to step around a couple of players and had plenty of work to do. But that was that Ben Lamb try really took the wind out of the Highlanders' sails, I felt. So they were going so well at that point.
The momentum changed in the game when that try occurred, and you thought, here come the Canes. And one thing about the Canes in a lot of games is that they're never out of it. They might be 10 points down, but they're never out of it.
Then the Canes managed to get themselves probably their first solid scrum of the game. Ball goes out to Bowden Barrett. He keeps his arms free to keep the ball alive. Passes it off to Lau Mappy. He hits that gap. He's got a couple of support runners and a couple of players in front of him, but you think, nah, he's not passing this one. He's going over, and he did, following his good play. So that was on 65 minutes, 28-31. We've had 31 points in 25 minutes of that half. I mean, more than a point a minute. And then suddenly we go for the next 15 minutes, quarter of an hour, with no points at all. This was a game that was played at frenetic pace, where when things clicked, we got points. When they didn't, we just got the ball going everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the attacking rugby didn't stop for that last 15 minutes. There was a lot of chances for the Highlanders, and I've got to say they blew a few of them, and they got repeat penalties and just couldn't quite make it count. But that showed that the Hurricanes, they muscled up in defence, and they made some try-saving tackles as well. They very nearly scored with about 10 to play, I think it was, to Vita Lee. And the young fellow that came on, replacing Aaron Smith, he played really well, actually. He made a few big line breaks. So.
Replacing Kane Hamilton, because Aaron Smith is obviously injured. But so Tavita Lee went close, as you say, on 69 minutes, but his head was touching, was out just before he put the ball down, which is that's probably the first I've seen where actually it's the head that's the part of the body that's out off the pitch. There were probably other bits that were out that are off the pitch as well, but hey, that led to a 22. But the Highlanders had put themselves in the right position, and they turned down. The crossfield kick. Feketana is the guy you're talking about who made that break from that line out, got them all the way, got the Highlanders back into the other half. They turned down 3 points that they could have drawn the game with, and to go for the corner. That then, the Canes forwards then wrapped up that maul and really stood up. And before that, we'd seen the Highlanders forwards absolutely dominating. The Canes forwards came to play at this point. They wrapped that up. TJ Perenara, so I'm just going to talk you through this life because it was so frenetic. TJ Perenara had been picking up the ball one-handed all game. This time when he did it from the back of the scrum, he knocked it on. So we had another scrum where the Highlanders, where the Canes, who had been on the back foot for most of the time in the scrum, they had that one solid one we talked about earlier where they scored a try, but apart from that they'd been under the cosh at the scrum time, suddenly put in their best scrum of the season, and gain a penalty. But what do? As soon as they kick it, as soon as they get some field position downfield, they overthrow the line out, and Fakatana takes the ball and heads off back into Canes territory again. The Highlanders end up throwing the ball out on the full just to get the ball back again with like 1 minute to go. And again, they have a penalty that they could kick the sticks. We've got Marty Banks on the pitch. This guy doesn't miss kicks. He's not quite as good as Hayden Parker, but he's very, very accurate. But what they do, they go for the corner instead. They try and go for the kill and go for the win. They do get a yellow during the line-out maul, but eventually, after about 3 line-out mauls, they knock it on, and it's game over. The Canes, it's like you've got opportunities here to close the game out, and they kept giving up the ball. They kept making errors and keeping the Highlanders in it. Errors really cost errors should have cost the Canes tonight. They should have been winning this one cleanly.
Yeah, look, and one of the things we say in Australia here is that even though that sometimes it may look ugly, if you win it, you win it. But they should have closed the game out a bit better than that.
They should have. And
so should the Highlanders.
They also should. Yeah, I mean, I think the Hurricanes should have scored more, and both sides should have scored more points earlier on. This game should have been more like 40. It should have been a point-a-minute game, but it turns out in the end it was only he says 59 points. Both sides had 9 clean breaks, but those error counts. 15 turnovers by the Highlanders, 14 by the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes had 9 scrums tonight. Again, so that's all from knock-ons. Those are knock-ons that haven't led to an advantage, with the Highlanders with 7. So again, plenty of knock-ons there. And we talked about the line-outs earlier. Tackling was subpar, to be fair. 76% by the Highlanders, 77% by the Hurricanes. That should be over 80. And the reason we got the yellow card for Liam Mitchell towards the end is because it was about 6-all on the whole penalty count with about 5 minutes to go, and it ended up being 6 penalties by Highlanders and 11 by the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes really just shipped penalties at the end there to stop that winning score, didn't they?
Yeah, and that's something that I don't like seeing. Ill discipline at the end of the game, particularly if it costs your mates a game, and it didn't in this case, but it nearly did, because that driving maul can be very, very lethal by the Highlanders, as it was evident in the Highlanders' second try. So consider yourself lucky, but your coach will have some words with you at training on Monday morning. That's
yes, that's definitely true. 2 big massive players for the Highlanders were Frizzell and Whitelock in the forwards. Both got through a chunk of work defensively with 11 tackles each, and attacking, both of them in double figures with carries as well. So those 2 guys got through a lot of work. But the player that you saw at the centre of everything that was good about the Highlanders was Ben Smith, wasn't it? He was just everywhere on that pitch tonight, running things for the men from down south.
He's a world-class player. I enjoy watching Ben Smith play. Obviously, he missed having Aaron there, and beg your pardon, I'd forgotten that Aaron had not been a part of this one tonight. But I thought the replacement halfback, sorry, I forgot his name, but he played very well.
Yep.
And I thought probably got to say that Sevilla was probably the Hurricanes' best tonight. Busy in attack, busy in defence, and some of the tackles he made were very valuable in the end.
Yeah, Adi Sevilla, as a forward, racked up 100 metres carrying ball in hand. Now, he had 2 big breaks, 4 tries. To be honest, actually, he's got a hat trick, didn't he, tonight? Thinking about it, because he got the intercept. He got a hat trick tonight with that. Bowden Barrett also, I think, had a good game tonight. 130 metres carrying, basically just controlled the game pretty well. Ben Lamb, flashes of not knowing he was even on the pitch to suddenly breaking the game open. So a matter of moments rather than a continuous effort. This game. On the defensive side, actually it's very spread out across the players. Princep with 9, Ardi Sever with 8, Fafita, Luke and Pepe both got 7, Blackwell with 8. So Ben Lamb with 8, Barrett with 7. So I say a lot of players got through, and in fact, Wes Hewson with 10 tackles was the highest tackler for the Hurricanes. Thanks for the correction there, Mike. Apparently, Ardi scored 2, not 3 tries. Let's quickly. Oh yes, sorry, I'm getting mixed up with Frizzell, who scored the first try. That's why. Sorry to do quick fact check there. So yeah, any other players that stood out for you, or any other thoughts from this game?
Look, I still thought it was a good game. The 5:30 game, as we know it in Australia, it's a 7:30 game in New Zealand. Is a great way to start off your weekend, and despite some of the scrappiness that we've seen, it's certainly a premium quality game that we all look forward to. So, looking forward to the weekend ahead.
So, Fafita knows how to concede dumb penalties, by the way. We got in the chat there. Looking at the disciplines, I think he gave up 2 penalties, as did Blackwell as well. In there, Fafita had one of those games where there were some bits where he really did some good work, and then there were other bits where you've got to say he kind of went missing and was outplayed by Frizzell. But yeah, I think he was kind of switched between both of those kind of modes. I'm not going to be as damning as Ali in the chat is suggesting. Where this leaves the teams on as far as the table goes. I'm not sure if this one's actually if this has been updated with today's game, but the Highlanders on 14 points, which puts them 1 point behind the Blues, but they've played an extra game, and the Hurricanes now on 23 points, just 1 point behind the Crusaders. You've got to say that it's a long way back for the Highlanders and the Chiefs now for the playoffs. I'd have thought.
Yeah, but then again, I remember 2015 very well. So one thing about the Highlanders, they won't give up, but you've got to say tall order to catch the 2 big New Zealand sides in front. So it's just one of those things. They've got to keep toiling away. They blew a chance to win this and take 4 valuable points, that's for sure. So next week starts again.
It does. Mike said if Naholo and Aaron Smith are on the field, it would have been a very different game. Yes, it would, and that's the problem with this Highlanders side, is that they back in 2015, if they were missing Aaron Smith, Ben Smith, and Sopoaga, you found that they basically lost the games. Those 3 guys, and if they had those 3 guys playing, they won. I think they lost the 2 games that those played. 2 weeks those guys got rested. In the interim between then and now, so 2016, 2017, 2018, it felt like the Highlanders had got the right kind of depth that they can actually afford for those players to have weeks off and still win games. Unfortunately, I think they've lost that depth again now, and they're back at that stage where if they haven't got all their All Blacks playing, then they're really going to struggle, and that's kind of what we've seen over the last few weeks. So,
and depth is important to any side, particularly in New Zealand. where you see the Crusaders with a lot of depth, in particular, and when you're chasing those sides, it's pretty tough going if you don't have the depth in key positions.
That it is. It is a tough. You have to do that. So thank you very much for joining me, Jane. Jeez. Sorry. We've got the New Zealand. The Australia game coming up. The Reds versus the Stormers, where you're expecting, I'd say, to be a good forward battle, but the Stormers to look to spread it and make too many errors and let the Reds win. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will be back tomorrow night with the post-match reaction to the Blues versus the... I've gone blank. Who they play? Waratahs.
The Waratahs.
Thank you. So catch me then tomorrow, everybody, and enjoy the rugby you're watching this weekend.